In this video, we show you how you can make your own Deodorant Stick Grav-attack vehicle. Scifiwargamers, helping you explore the hobby. Greetings, hobby fans. My name's Marcel, and it's my mission to help you explore the hobby. So if you've been around for a while, like me, unfortunately, you may have heard of the Deodorant Stick Grav-attack. It did the rounds back in the late 80s and everyone wanted a piece. But some of you youngsters in the hobby, or maybe some of you experienced members in the hobby, just haven't experienced the wonders of the Deodorant Grav-attack speeder. I'm providing you with the instructions to make your own. Let's get to it. Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. In this heavy metal, Rick looks at something a little different. Gone are the homely chunks of metal, the sparkling paint, and the elegant brushes. In their stead, he has a great big pile of plastic, tubes of glue, and a bottle of vim. What madness is brewing? Most of us have made at least one plastic kit at some time or other. Perhaps it was a tank, a ship, or plane, or something even more perverse. For example, a car. You need treatment, you sicko. Over the years, many will have abandoned their hobby in favour of other more mature pastimes, of which rock and roll is but one of three. Fortunately, kit modelling is something you never forget. So, assuming you possess at least some dormant skills and being naturally enterprising creatures, you will naturally wish to reawaken these talents at the soonest opportunity. Nope, this isn't a how-to article about plastic kits. This is an article intended to show how ordinary plastic kits and assorted bits of junk and a little bit of effort, specifically yours, can be miraculously transformed into vehicles which can be used with futuristic tabletop games like Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. The models shown here are robust and functional rather than pieces of plastic art. That is not to say you couldn't put in a bit of extra effort to turn a model into a feature for a diorama or display. Most collections, however, are practical and designed to be used. Models must therefore be able to withstand constant transport, handling, and the occasional accident. Warhammer 40,000 Vehicles. The Warhammer 40,000 section on vehicles divides them into types such as bikes, hover, wheeled, tracked, etc. Each type is further divided into three sizes: small, medium, and large. All vehicles are defined in terms of a set of statistics. Typical statistics are provided for each type or size of vehicle, as is a random generation table. Each vehicle type is then illustrated by a specific example. For instance, the tracked vehicle is the Land Raider, shortly to become available as a plastic kit from Citadel. When this section of Warhammer 40,000 was written, it was intended that the author's own collection of vehicles would be used to provide the examples. In the end, the idea was dropped, as many of the models were either old and no longer available, or else readily identifiable as Star Wars or other licensed items. Not wishing to evoke the spirit of legal complication, the vehicle section was illustrated with drawings. This is rather a pity, even though the illustrations are attractive. After all, if you have vehicles in your game, you will need models to represent them. The models. The models shown here have been designed to represent examples or typical types of vehicle described in Warhammer 40,000. The components shouldn't be too difficult to track down. Suitable alternatives could be used, perhaps to better effect. General modelling. As well as ordinary polystyrene cement, you will need superglue and an epoxy glue such as araldite, as most soft plastics cannot be glued with ordinary polystyrene cement. I also rely quite heavily upon milliput to fill in joins and reinforce delicate parts. On the whole, it is not worth trying to cut components so they fit exactly. So long as parts are held reasonably firmly, any gaps can be made good with milliput or concealed by detail. The Grav-attack vehicle. This is a very simple and effective model. The basic shape comes from an empty, solid deodorant dispenser, which just goes to show what a clean living and hygienic lot we are at Games Workshop. The base is made from a pusher part inside the dispenser. The rest of the model is just bits from a large collections of things that any right-minded person would throw away. Parts required: a flat hip flask type deodorant dispenser, 1 or more plastic spoons, a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch screw or length of metal rod, a weapon from your spares box, tanks and decorative bits from your spares box. Assembly. Part 1. Clean out the dispenser. Remove and retain the plastic pusher from inside. Rub the whole surface with a coarse scourer to remove manufacturer's blurb and key the surface. A shiny plastic surface is difficult to paint. Step 2. Mix a blob of milliput and push it into the bottom of the dispenser to hold the dial firmly in place. This dial makes a reasonably convincing motor exhaust and so is left in situ. Part 3. Drill or cut a hole in the centre of one flat side. This hole will take the base and so needs to be about 8 to 10 mm across. Part 4. Drill or cut a hole on the opposite side to 3. This should be approximately 3 cm from what will be the rear of the vehicle. This hole will take the turret, so think about what you want the turret to be before drilling. Ensure that the diameter of the hole is about the same as your screw. Number 5. Use the pusher from inside the dispenser to make the base for your model. The pusher should sit comfortably underneath in the hole drilled in 3, supporting the model. Apply plenty of araldite. For a firmer fit, mix more milliput. Working from the inside of the dispenser, push the milliput onto and around the protruding pusher and into the hole through its centre. Let the milliput dry. Part 6. To drop the vehicle's nose, the dispenser top is glued onto the body at an angle. The resulting gap can be filled in with milliput or left as it is. The effect is quite interesting. If you are prepared to do a bit of cutting, the nose could be dropped even more. In retrospect, this would have looked better, which just goes to show it is worth playing around with the shapes before you start gluing. Part 7. Once the nose is dry, the front cabin is added. This is made from the 2.5 ml bowl of a plastic medicine spoon. Any plastic spoon that will fit onto the vehicle will do equally well. Fix in place with araldite. Fill in the gap where the spoon projects over the curve of the front with milliput. Step 8. The rear turret is made from the 5 ml bowl of the medicine spoon, although any plastic teaspoon will do. I left a tab at the back of the turret to fix equipment to. The turret is designed to turn upon a screw peg glued into the underside of the spoon. This fits into the hole drilled in part 4. Part 9. Glue a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch screw so that its head is fastened to the underside of the spoon. Ensure the screw projects straight down. I cut the tip from the screw before gluing, but this is not strictly necessary. A piece of metal rod, wooden dowel, or heavy plastic sprue would probably serve just as well. Part 10. To raise the turret from the deck, you will need to make a collar of milliput around the screw. This is accomplished as follows. First, smear a little oil or talcum powder around the hole you have drilled. Then push a wad of milliput around the screw, leaving the tip sticking out. Push the turret onto the deck and adjust to your satisfaction. Once the milliput is dry, the turret can be gently prized away from the deck and the putty will have set, forming a supporting collar. Repeat the procedure and make a smaller support under the front of the turret to prevent it drooping. Both supports are invisible once the model is complete. A single larger support will do the job. If either the screw or dried milliput should fall out, don't worry, just superglue it back into place. Step 11. Ensure the turret fits into place and turns properly. You can, of course, simply glue the turret permanently in place if you wish. Step 12. The Grav-attack's vehicle's main armament came straight out of my box of redundant plastic bits. A suitable alternative would be to use the plastic missile launcher from the Space Marine box set from Citadel. In fact, at this stage you can use whatever you like in the way of main armament. Mount the weapon onto the turret using polystyrene cement or blobs of milliput. Step 13. Complete the model by gluing any suitable bits onto the deck. A few spare tanks, short wing fins and interesting looking items will break up the otherwise flat outline. You can go to town here, adding more bits, panels from plastic card, aerials, camouflage netting, and so on. Step 14. Before painting the model, texture the surface using a mixture of white paint and vim. Mix the paint and vim until the paint is grainy and coarse. Paint this onto the model and leave to dry. You now have a model that no longer looks plastic and which will accept all sorts of interesting paint effects. Leave the front cabin untextured to represent glass. Step 15. Paint. This particular vehicle is painted in the colours of the Dark Angel Space Marines. This is basically a very dark grey. The front cabin is painted pure black and varnished so that it becomes shiny. Insignia and unit markings were painted on, whilst extra detail transfers came from a Japanese robot kit. Some of the Citadel shield transfers are quite suitable too. The Grav-attack vehicle can double up as a pat wagon for Judge Dredd should you wish. The design is also suitable for conversion into a tracked or wheeled vehicle by adding the appropriate items underneath. As an alternative to the spoon cabin, an acetate model airplane canopy could also be used. The Grav-attack vehicle profile. The Grav-attack is a standard Imperium design, produced in considerable numbers by the weapon shops of the Adeptus Mechanicus on Earth and throughout the galaxy. Comparable variations are used by most chapters of the Space Marines. Many are built by the Marines themselves, others are modified vehicles supplied by the Adeptus Mechanicus. The Grav-attack design can be mounted with any Imperial heavy weapon or a combination of lighter armaments. Support and troop carrier versions are also built. The vehicle is powered by a standard gravitic reaction motor, utilising gravitational counter-thrust engines and suspensors. A single jet engine facilitates high-speed forwards movement along roads and other safe, flat surfaces. The hull may be made from any of a variety of materials depending on local availability. Ideally, armour comprises a ceramite core overlaid by cellular layers of plastic and an outer coating of silicate. The turret affords all-round vision and fire for the las cannon. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to making my own Deodorant Stick Grav-attack vehicle. I also should smell nice in the process. I want to know if you're going to make one, or perhaps you may have already made one yourselves. If you have, please let us know. How did it go? Was it good? Was it terrible? Did you smell nice? If you'd like to see more Oldhammer, you can click the playlist up here somewhere. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. You can even support the channel on Patreon, the link to which is in the description below. And if you do, I will love you forever. Thank you very much for watching, and always remember to drill your barrel.